Hello students, in today's class we will be discussing about the contemporary management thinkers. We've already discussed about the concept in the last class, and I have already discussed one of the management thinkers, one of the contemporary management thinkers, Michael E. Porter, and his 5-force analysis in the last class. Today we will be moving on to the next one, which is the learning organization. Now this concept was given by Peter Senge, and he introduced this concept of learning organization in his book, which was titled as Fifth Discipline. Now, what did Peter Senge say? He says that in order to become a learning organization, you have to be an organization which creates, acquires, and transfers knowledge. So, three things have to be completed, only then you will be called a learning organization. You should be the creator of knowledge. Some knowledge must be getting created, must be innovated within your organization. Then second, you are open to acquiring knowledge from the outside world, and you combine this acquired and created knowledge and also believe in transferring knowledge to the others within your organization and outside the organization. Then only you will become a learning organization, and it has to be a continuous process. You cannot stop learning. Always an organization, if it wants to grow, it has to keep on learning. It has to be in that mode of learning, of creating, acquiring and transferring knowledge to keep on developing itself, to keep on nurturing itself, to keep on growing itself. So it has to be a continuous process. Now, why is learning important? Why an organization should be a learning organization? Because in today's environment, in today's world, we are in a very turbulent environment. It keeps on changing. The needs of the customers, the demands of the market, the regulations, the scenario, everything is changing very rapidly. So in order to survive in this rapidly changing world, in this rapidly changing environment, the organizations have to be a learning organization so that they can achieve their goals. They can continue achieving their goals. And how would you achieve this? If you foster an environment of innovation, if you give an environment for creativity, you keep that room open for your employees that they can be creative, they can be innovative, they can bring in new ideas, then only this openness will lead to creation of knowledge. And then only once this knowledge is created, they will be able to share it with the others. So you have to give an environment to the individuals as well as to the groups wherein they can innovate, wherein they can bring in new ideas, and the learning should continue. Now, Peter Senge, he suggested 5 ingredients, and he said that if you look at these ingredients, if you imbibe these ingredients in your organization, then it will become a learning organization. The very first, he said, systems thinking, which is based on the systems approach that we have already discussed in the earlier classes. Wherein he said that what does systems approach mean? What does it say? It says that you look at the organization as a whole. You know, when we have studied about division of work, right, departmentalization, what does it do? It breaks our task, it breaks our work into smaller parts, right? But when we are looking at our organization, and if we wanted to become a learning organization, then we have to look at our organization as a whole in its entirety. Then only you will be able to establish and look at the behavioral and the learning patterns. Then he talked about personal mastery. Now this has been talked about earlier also by various the contributors to the management discipline, wherein they have talked about that it is important to develop skills, it is important to develop competencies by an individual in order to grow in the environment. But what was Peter Senge's contribution? Along with skills and competencies, he gave a lot of importance to spiritual growth. So he introduced this also, that the individuals, the groups will also have to grow spiritually, because this spiritual growth helps you to look deeper within yourself, to see that what is the actual scenario, what is the current reality wherein you are standing, and what is it that you want to achieve. This can come through the spiritual growth. Then he said developing mental models, wherein he said that you have to challenge the old ways of doing things. You have to break the status quo. It is a human nature that if the things have been going on in past, we are in our comfort zone if we keep on doing it in that manner only, क्योंकि वो हम करते आए हैं, हमें उसकी आदत है, so we believe कि हम उसे वैसे ही करते रहें. But if you want to be a learning organization, you will have to learn how to challenge it, because a particular way of doing things can always have a scope of improvement, can always be developed further, can always be changed, and better results can be achieved. So the present patterns have to be studied for the organization as a whole, and then you have to develop a mechanism wherein you can challenge these patterns, wherein you can bring in some new ideas and say that this is a particular way of doing things. We have been doing it in this manner, but there is a way to change it. And the people have to be ready to accept that change, to break that status quo and move to a new thing. Then he talked about shared vision, wherein he said that a vision of the organization has to be seen by all the team members, has to be seen by all the employees as their final goal, which is to be achieved. Because if you want creativity, if you want innovation, then the best way to achieve that is through the group efforts. And when will that group efforts come? When all the members of that group, when all the teammates are sharing the same vision. So automatically it will lead to the learning part and team learning. In team learning, he said that there are two things that are to be focused upon: dialogue and discussion. Dialogue is a preliminary part wherein the team members, they just give in their ideas. Right? So it is an exploratory process to widen up the horizon, to get as many possibilities as possible. And then once this dialogue has taken place, start discussion on all those points that have come up during that dialogue, to find out the best possible solution, to find out the best possible decision that can be taken up from the given alternatives. So dialogue and discussion amongst the team members is very important, because they will learn from others' perspectives. When they're sitting as a team, when everybody is contributing, they will learn from the experience of each other. They will learn from the contribution of each other. So that is your team learning. So basically what Peter Senge has tried to say, that people have to put aside their old ways of thinking by developing the mental models. They have to be open to learning, right? They have to develop themselves, which is personal mastery. They have to understand how the company works in totality, which is your systems thinking. After that, they should form a plan which everybody can agree upon, which is shared vision. And after developing this plan, they have to work together to achieve that shared vision. How will that be achieved? Through the team learning. So this is what he tried to bring forth through the concept of learning organization. And in his book only, he has suggested certain tools for learning which can be employed by the organizations for learning. First is the system archetype and causal loops. Herein he said that you have to look at the feedback loops. You have to identify the typical organizational problems which will be different for each organization. So you analyze your organization and try to see, is there any pattern? Is there any, you can say, a set फ्रेमवर्क कि ये प्रॉब्लम हमें बार बार आती है, ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल प्रॉब्लम हमें रेपिटेडली फेस करनी पड़ रही है, वी आर इनटू अ काइंड ऑफ लूप, हम एक बार उसको ठीक करते हैं फिर थोड़े टाइम बाद फिर से वही प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. This will help you in formulating a process map for your organization wherein you would know that where this difficulty loop is coming. Go deeper into the root of it. Try to find out that what is it, what is the event, or what are the circumstances which are leading to this problematic loop again and again, and try to break that. ये तो सिम्टम्स दिख रहे हैं, जैसे हमने पिछली क्लास में बात की थी कि प्रॉब्लम इज कमिंग, दैट इज द सिम्टम्स, बट व्हाट इज द अंडरलाइंग कॉज व्हिच इज क्रिएटिंग दीज सिम्टम्स. यू हैव टू लुक एट दोज अंडरलाइंग कॉजेस. वो आप कैसे करोगे? जब आप अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को स्टडी करोगे, यू माइट गेट सर्टेन रिपीटेड पैटर्न्स. उन पैटर्न्स को स्टडी करके ट्राई टू फाइंड कि अगर वहां प्रॉब्लमैटिक एरियाज हैं तो उनको कैसे डील किया जा सकता है. Then he gave the concept of left and right hand column, wherein he said that whenever you go to a meeting, take a page and make two columns on this, left hand side column, right hand side column. In left hand side column, you write down that what you wanted to say, what you really think, because whenever you are going in a meeting, whenever you are going into a discussion within the organization, there are some agenda items that are to be discussed. So on the left hand side column, you write down that about those agenda items, what is it that you really think? What is it that is your real opinion? And during the meeting, in the right hand side column, keep on writing what you actually said during that meeting. What is it that you actually contributed in that meeting? And then try to match that left and right hand side column. Ideally, it should be same. कि जो मैं सोच रही हूं, जो मेरे आइडिया है, मुझे वही कहना भी चाहिए वहां पर. बट एम आई एबल टू से इट, और इज इट माई पर्सनल प्रेजुडाइजेस दैट आर कमिंग इन बिटवीन विच इज हैम्परिंग द प्रोडक्टिविटी? कि मैं लिखकर तो गई थी, मैं लेफ्ट हैंड साइड कॉलम में तो मैंने लिखा हुआ है कि ये ऐसे ऐसे होना चाहिए काम, लेकिन जब एक्चुअल में वहां पर बोलने की बारी आई, मैंने कुछ और बोला या मैंने वो चीजें बोली नहीं. क्यों? इट कैन बी सम प्रेजुडाइसेस, इट कैन बी कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं नहीं, एवं क्यों मैं बिना मतलब इसमें पंगा लूं, मैं क्यों इसमें कुछ भी बोलूं, दिस इज नॉट माई टास्क, और आई माइट फील कि नहीं, everybody else is agreeing upon something else, so I should not put my point forward. There can be n number of reasons. You have to introspect those reasons from this left and right hand column. Then he talked about the ladder of inference. I will just come back to this in a while. Then he gave the concept of the container. This is a tool which is a dialogue tool wherein it encourages the employees to speak out their real feelings. In this, what is done is that the people who are there in a meeting are encouraged, are the facilitator of that meeting says that you imagine that there is a container, right, which in this container everybody's thoughts and feelings are there, hostile thoughts and feelings, negative feelings जो आपके अंदर हैं, या आपके जो thoughts ऐसे हैं which are against the things that we are talking about, ये उस container में डाल के हम रख देंगे. Let it come out from you. So they are encouraged to speak out what negative feelings they are having within, what hostile feelings they are having within, so that they can speak out their mind. They are given a free platform to speak out their mind. Right? You have to put aside your fears, you have to put aside your anger, you have to put aside your prejudices and speak it out. As soon as you speak it out, all those hostile feelings, all those prejudices, all that anger comes out on the table. It is in front of everybody, and then you come in a neutralized position. Once you come to that neutral position, then go in for the decision making. Because if you are making decisions with the hostility, with the anger inside you, it might not be the correct decisions. Then learning labs and flight simulators. These are the labs which are created, or stimulations which are created. Simulation is something which replicates the real world. So he suggested that there can be various areas wherein you can develop these learning labs, wherein the employees go, they learn it over there and then come back to the actual setup and apply it, similarly through the stimulations. Now coming to the ladder of inference. In this ladder of inference, he said that, when you take a decision, when you act in a particular manner, that action is based on certain things. But what we do is we do not know about it. We just act. We do not look at this ladder, although we should look at this ladder. Okay, ये ऊपर से नीचे जाते हुए, taking action on basis of beliefs, this is the last step in the ladder. तो अगर हम ये लैडर के स्टेप्स को नीचे से देखना शुरू करें, दिस इज एक्चुअली हाउ माई एक्शन टेक प्लेस. सबसे पहले क्या होता है दैट आई सिलेक्ट द डेटा फ्रॉम द सराउंडिंग्स. हाउ डू आई सिलेक्ट इट? ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ माई ऑब्जर्वेशंस. आई एम वर्किंग इन एन एनवायरमेंट, आई ऑब्जर्व सर्टेन थिंग्स, right? I have certain experiences, I have certain data available with me, so I observe it. And from that observation, I select the data. How do I select the data? I would select it on the basis of my notions, on the basis of my preferences, on the basis of my areas of interest. तो आप देखो इसी स्टेप पे, फर्स्ट स्टेप पे ही आपके prejudices, आपके perceptions, आपके attitudes and beliefs have come into picture, because you will not be interpreting the entire data, you will be selecting that data. So if in case you leave out some important factual information, it is going to replicate till the top of the ladder when you are finally taking the action. So the data that you are selecting must not be impacted by your prejudices or by your perceptions or by your notions. You have to pick up the data from the observation, which is actually important for taking that particular decision. Then once this data is selected, you try to find the meaning of that data. अब ये मीनिंग जो डेटा का हम निकालते हैं, जो मेरी ऑब्जर्वेशंस हैं या जो मेरे एक्सपीरियंस है, मैंने कोई इवेंट एक्सपीरियंस किया, उसके बेसिस पे मैंने उसका कुछ मतलब निकाला, उसका कुछ मीनिंग निकाला. दिस इज नोन एज इंटरप्रेटेड रियलिटी. देयर इज सम रियलिटी, there can be a different version of it which I have interpreted. If it is a different version, it means I have deviated from the actual reality. So these meanings that I am assigning can be influenced by my personal attitudes, beliefs, everything, or due to the cultural beliefs, cultural attitudes, how does the society thinks, that can impact that how I am interpreting the things. Then when you have interpreted the things, on the basis of that you make certain assumptions. क्योंकि जो मैंने सोचा उसी के basis पे मैं कुछ assumptions लेती हूँ. उन assumptions के basis पे I draw certain conclusions. These conclusions lead to my beliefs. और मेरा क्या belief system है, it leads to the final action. So while when you are trying to learn something, because you want to be a part of a learning organization and you have taken an action, why that action has been taken by you, is that a correct action or not? How will you come to know? Go down the ladder now. See that what were your beliefs on the basis of which you have taken this action, because those beliefs were dependent on some conclusions. What were those conclusions? Where did it came from? It came from certain assumptions. Then try to see those assumptions that you have made, why you have made those assumptions. Is it necessary to have those assumptions? Are they the correct assumptions? These assumptions, आप जब test करना चाहते हो that are these correct assumptions or not, how will you test it? By seeing that where were they drawn from. They were drawn from what I interpreted. What I interpreted was correct or not. कहीं कोई important data मैंने छोड़ तो नहीं दिया while selecting the data. Then only you will be able to understand that if your actions are correct or not. So this is the ladder of inference which was given by Peter Senge in his book, The Fifth Discipline. So he said that whenever you are taking some action, there is a lot of things behind it due to which that action is taking place. But उसके बारे में हम नहीं सोचते हैं. अगर सोचेंगे तो we will be able to learn better ways. Then the next contemporary management thinker whom we are going to talk about is C.K. Prahalad. C.K. Prahalad gave this concept of fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. What he said that, the markets that generally the companies are catering to is the middle level segment, the middle level consumers or the top level consumers. Very few companies think about the bottom. Bottom क्या है? जो low income group के हैं लोग. He said, as per his research, that 2/3 of the world population is a part of this low income market. So if the companies start producing goods which are specially catering to these low income markets and distributing products for them, the companies can actually earn a fortune. Their earnings can increase manyfold. And it will also help in the development of the economy. So it is a benefit win-win situation. Companies will also benefit because they will be able to cater to a very large market. They will be able to tap out a very large market which is under tapped as of now. And it will also lead to the development of this low income group because they will get better products. So he suggested that the top companies, because they are having a lot of resources, they can put money into research and innovation, they can develop new kinds of products. So they should start focusing on the low income markets, and these low income markets are known as the bottom of the pyramid. So that is how the name came, fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, that there is a pyramid of consumers. Pyramid की जो shape होती है उसमें base जो है वो सबसे ज़्यादा weight वाला होता है ना, सबसे ज़्यादा बड़ा जो है वो base होता है, and as we start moving upwards it becomes narrower. That is the shape of the pyramid. तो नीचे जो सबसे lowest low income group people हैं, जो low income population है, that forms the base of this pyramid. So it is the largest source, it is the largest market, and which has been left under tapped, which is not being tapped. So he suggested the companies to tap out that market. Now taking his work forth only, abhi we'll come back to what features he talked about of the BOB market, but taking forth his work, Anderson and Below are further two thinkers, researchers, who gave these 4 A's. And they said that these must be present if you want to get this fortune, if you want to capture this fortune which is lying at the bottom of the pyramid. What are these 4 A's? Acceptability of your products and services. So they said that because you are talking about the low income group, so because they are low income group, they do not have too much of disposable income with them. So if you want your product or service to be bought by them, you will have to provide them something which is exceptionally useful for them. Then only they will spend out the limited money that they have on your product or service. Then second A is availability, that the product that are being given, the products that are being given to this bottom of the pyramid, they should be easily available, right? Because again, you are talking about the low income market. If it is not easily available to them, they might not put in extra efforts to buy that product. So it has to be catering to their needs. They have to be aware about what these products will help them with. What would be the benefit of this product? And such a product is available in the market. The company will have to make them aware about it, and most importantly, they have to be affordable. If they're not affordable, if you put a very expensive product in the market, they will not buy it because unke paas disposable income kam hai. So they will not take it up, right? So all these 4 A's are to be met up by the companies if they want to capture the fortune which is lying at the bottom of the pyramid. What are the characteristics of the BOP market? They will be in emerging markets, right? They will have low purchasing power. Majorly, they will be the consumers, you will find them in rural areas or suburban areas. Because urban areas में majorly you will find middle income class or high income class. Low income group भी होगा, but comparatively कम होगा, suburban areas या rural areas में ज़्यादा मिलेगा. These people who are forming this market will either be having no formal education or very little of it. They will not be very highly educated people. They will not be having any immovable assets. तो कोई भी प्रोडक्ट आप ऐसा बना रहे हो जो उनके इमूवेबल एसेट्स के लिए है, जो इमूवेबल एसेट्स को केटर करता है, इट वोंट बी ऑफ मच यूज, क्योंकि उनके पास इमूवेबल एसेट्स अपने होने के चांसेस बहुत कम हैं. These markets cannot be tapped up with the conventional distribution communication system or the credit systems. तो जो conventional distribution channel आप follow कर रहे हो या conventional communication channel आप follow कर रहे हो कि आप advertisements दे रहे हो television पे, movie halls में, that might not work for them. You will have to innovate some new distribution channel. You will have to innovate some new method of communication and see that which communication channel can help you to make maximum awareness reach to these people, to the low income group people. And they are the under-tapped markets, as I have already said, and then the competition is very low. Now still the companies have started thinking about it, but when this theory was proposed, there was hardly any competition because nobody was even thinking about these markets, right? Now, when the products or services are being developed for this market, for this under-tapped market, there has to be some innovation in your product. There has to be innovation in your technology, क्योंकि आपको ऐसे products बनाने हैं जो बहुत useful हो उनके लिए, जिसपे वो अपना जो limited पैसा उनके पास है उसे खर्च करने के बारे में सोच सकें. You will have to make it affordable also. You will have to make it easily available also, right? And it must suit their needs. कि उन्हें क्या चाहिए उसके according आपको बनाना पड़ेगा. आपको कैपिटल एफिशिएंसी बहुत हाई चाहिए, तभी आप उनको लो प्राइस्ड गुड्स दे पाओगे, राइट? New business models might have to be thought of. That is why C.K. Prahlad proposed that the top companies must start thinking about these markets and tapping these markets. There are few examples available. HUL has taken steps for catering to these markets. ITC has taken this step. The examples are available in your book as well. I'll talk about the ITC examples, small thing. ITC, it started something known as e-Chopal. In this e-Chopal, what they did was they went to the rural areas and they started giving computer education to the people of that area. ई-चौपाल क्या था, उन्होंने ऐसे चौपाल से बना दिए, ठीक है, they made some structures, कच्चा structures, और वहां पे उन्होंने computers रख दिए. These computers were available there for the rural areas people. उन्होंने खुद भी उनको train किया, खुद भी कुछ knowledge दी, and those computers used to be there only. So if somebody wants to come, explore, learn new things on that, they could do that. It was kept out for the people of that village, of that rural area. अब इससे क्या हुआ, एक तो उन्हें ट्रेनिंग मिल गई, first thing, so awareness was there. The people were made aware that how this computer works. They got a training that how work can be done through this. And then what did ITC do? ITC started engaging these people only. जो ट्रेन हो रहे थे वहां पर, उन्हीं लोगों को उन्होंने एम्प्लॉय किया, उन्हीं लोगों को एंगेज किया अपने प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज को फर्दर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए, अपने प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज को फर्दर मार्केट करने के लिए. सो हाउ डिड इट हेल्प देम? इट हेल्प देम बिकॉज देयर वर पीपल फ्रॉम द रूरल एरिया who were marketing the products of a particular company to their other peers. So if as a company I go to them and I tell them my product is good, that may not be having a very huge impact on them. But if somebody who belongs to their community, somebody who is like them only, tells them that there is some product which is a good product and which can be bought by them, the users of that product, then the people will be more engaging in that. The people are, the possibility will be higher that these people buy the products, right? So this is how the bottom of the pyramid can be, the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid can be attained by the companies. The last concept that we are going to discuss is about re-engineering, which was given by Michael Hammer and James Champy. Majorly, Michael Hammer is known as the father of business process re-engineering. And they said that it is the fundamental rethinking and redesigning of business processes. Why you have to do it? To achieve dramatic improvements in the critical contemporary measures of performance. कि आपको इम्प्रूवमेंट करना है क्रिटिकल मेजर्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस में. क्या होते हैं क्रिटिकल मेजर्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस में? मुझे कॉस्ट कटिंग करनी है, कॉस्ट कम करनी है, क्वालिटी इंप्रूव करनी है, सर्विसेज बेटर देनी है, स्पीड अचीव करनी है. तो इनमें से किसी भी पैरामीटर्स की इंप्रूवमेंट हो सकती है. हाउ यू आर ब्रिंगिंग इन दैट इंप्रूवमेंट? बाय रीडिजाइनिंग द बिजनेस प्रोसेसेस. So he gave 4 major features of re-engineering. First out of this is fundamental rethinking. Now, very important part of re-engineering concept is that it does not deal with an improvement or modification. ये उसकी बात नहीं कर रहा है. आपने किसी process को improve कर दिया, आपने किसी process में कुछ modification थोड़ी सी कर दी, that is not re-engineering. Re-engineering is fundamental rethinking and radical redesign. Fundamental rethinking का क्या मतलब है? That you start asking most basic questions. For example, why we are producing this product and service? Why we are operating in this particular manner the way we are? Why I am running this business? Why are we doing a particular thing in a particular manner? क्या रीजंस है उसके पीछे? ट्राई टू एक्सप्लोर दोज रीजंस. दैट इज योर फंडामेंटल रीथिंकिंग. यू हैव टू अगेन चैलेंज द स्टेटस क्यो. अभी तक ऐसा होता आया है, ठीक है, क्यों होता आया है? क्यों करते हैं हम ऐसा? इज देयर एनी रीजन फॉर डूइंग अ पर्टिकुलर टास्क लाइक दिस? कैन देयर बी समथिंग बेटर टू डू इट? एंड इफ देयर इज समथिंग बेटर टू डू इट, गेट टू द रूट ऑफ द थिंग्स. ट्राई टू इन्वेंट कंप्लीटली न्यू वेज. And that will be your radical redesigning. That will be your business reinvention. And these radical redesign should lead out to dramatic improvements. तो थोड़ा बहुत marginal improvement performance में आया तो फिर re-engineering का फायदा नहीं है. Re-engineering कब useful होगा? When there is a dramatic improvement in the final results. Because of the improvements, because of the re-engineering that you have done. Now, why is it that we have to bring in these dramatic improvements? Why is it that we have to think of this radical redesign? Because of the changing environment, because of the more demanding consumers, because of the growing competition. And then you have to think about the key processes. कि कौन से ऐसे मेजर प्रोसेसेस हैं इन योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन which are leading to the final production of goods and services. Look at those key processes, try to challenge them, try to bring about a change in those key processes to be a part of re-engineering. अब re-engineering कौन सी organizations करेंगी? हर organization will not do re-engineering and they are not even required to do re-engineering. ऐसा नहीं है कि हर किसी को re-engineering करनी है. But there are 3 kinds of organizations which should go in for re-engineering. पहली तो वो which are in deep trouble, who are not into the profit making move, जो almost बंद होने वाली हैं, ठीक है, जिन्हें लग रहा है कि अब हम survive नहीं कर पा रहे हैं मार्केट में, they are on the downfall side, they should try to re-engineer. Second, the companies who are presently not in trouble but maybe they can foresee the trouble, उन्हें लग रहा है कि हम troubled situation में आने वाले हैं, they should go in for re-engineering. And third kind of companies are who are at their peak level, कि जितना maximum वो अपने present situation में achieve कर सकते थे, they are at the top, they have achieved that, they are at the top of the market. अब यहाँ से और आगे बढ़ने का point नहीं, आगे बढ़ने के लिए chance नहीं है. सारी मार्केट आप टैप कर चुके हो, यू आर सेलिंग द बेस्ट प्रोडक्ट, यू आर द फोरमोस्ट सेलर इन द मार्केट, वो पीक पे आप पहुंच चुके हो. तो अब अगर आपको फर्दर ग्रो करना है, देन यू विल हैव टू ब्रिंग इन समथिंग न्यू, यू विल हैव टू बी मोर एम्बिशियस. हाउ विल यू डू दैट? बाय री-इंजीनियरिंग, बाय ब्रिंगिंग इन समथिंग न्यू. Now what changes can take place due to re-engineering? क्या क्या हो सकता है re-engineering अगर हम adopt करते हैं तो उसके क्या क्या results हो सकते हैं? एक तो ये हो सकता है कि आपके जो की प्रोसेसेस हैं जो आपने आइडेंटिफाई किए वो सिंप्लीफाई हो जाएं या वो इंटीग्रेट हो जाएं. हो सकता है कोई 2 या 3 की प्रोसेस आपको ऐसे लगे कि इनको हम आपस में इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं. दैट विल बी री-इंजीनियरिंग. देयर कैन बी मोर चैलेंजिंग जॉब्स एंड मोर सैटिस्फाइंग जॉब्स फॉर योर एम्प्लॉइज. कैसे होगा वो कि आप जो अभी तक टास्क करते थे, स्पेशलाइज्ड टास्क करते थे, अब आप उसको मल्टी डायमेंशनल कर दो. That a person, an employee is having knowledge of various fields. ठीक है, उसको एक उसी के काम तक रिस्ट्रिक्ट मत करो. गिव हिम और हर मोर एक्सपीरियंस, तो उसका टास्क जो है वो और ज्यादा चैलेंजिंग हो जाएगा एंड माइट गिव मोर सेटिस्फैक्शन टू द एम्प्लॉइज. Empowerment of the employees, empowerment of people, give them more authority, give them decision making powers, encourage them to learn, right? Focus on the appraisal, the performance appraisal, and giving compensation on the basis of results achieved. So performance linked rewards, that should be brought about. Change from protective to productive. This is very important. You do not have to keep yourself in a protective environment. उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. You have to go towards a productive environment. How will you achieve a productive environment? By challenging the status quo, by bringing up the new ideas, by being innovative, right? By re-engineering. Then they said that the managers, they should act as coaches and mentors and not as supervisors. तो डंडा लेके नहीं खड़े रहना है आपको कि ये काम करवाना है. You have to be more like a guide, right? Giving mentorship to them, कि आप उन्हें एक रास्ता दिखा रहे हो. You are being a guiding light to them. You are facilitating them in achieving their task, but not doing the spoon feeding for them, or not being a hard taskmaster. Give them room to innovate. Give them a chance to show their skills. Give them some authority so that they can perform their task well. Then changing from hierarchical structure to flat structure. So this is a reorganizing of structure. कि आप जितना हो सके फ्लैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाओ. हायरार्कीज जो हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जितनी कम होंगी उतना ज्यादा अच्छा होगा as per the concept of re-engineering. And last is checks and balances. If you reduce, that can be one of the change which comes because of re-engineering. क्योंकि आपने empower कर दिया लोगों को, आपने लर्निंग encourage कर दी. जो मैनेजर्स हैं, they are now acting as mentors. तो जो आपको चेक और बैलेंसेस रखने हैं, जो आपको एक चेक करना है लोगों के काम को, कंट्रोलिंग पार्ट जो है वो रिड्यूस डाउन हो जाएगा. So these are the changes which can be brought about with the re-engineering part. I hope all these concepts are clear to you after this video. Thank you for the day.